Hello there, everyone. It's Courtney back for another Matchday Monday. In the comments, yes, I remember you from the Carabao Cup game where Subslide gave you your shirt. That is a pretty cool thing to happen. I'll just wait for people in the comments to let me know you can hear me okay, and then we'll get right into it. I'm just gonna share the link so everyone knows I'm live. Um, Jack can hear me fine. Right, we're good to go. So this is going to be the last match day Monday that is available to everyone after international break when we are back. So not next Monday, but the Monday after. It will be on Patreon exclusive only. Um, hello, and yes, like I said, not next Monday, Monday after, it'll be Patreon exclusive. So if you want to be able to view these, and they're going to be coming interactive, so if you want the chance to pop onto here, um, go over to Patreon and sign up. It is £4 a month, and for that you get these exclusive shows and the chance to be in these shows. When I say exclusive, they'll be exclusively live, and then a few days later they will go out to everyone. So if you want to be able to interact with the show, if you want to be able to watch it live and possibly come on or phone in and talk about whether it's Liverpool's game, another game, something that's happened that week, go over to Patreon. And as well, we'll have the exclusive monthly giveaways, which I'm watching the dog this week, so I was gonna dig out the items for this month's giveaway. I will post that tomorrow, this month's giveaway items, because 'cause I've got a few to choose from. So I might put a little poll out on Instagram and Twitter for you all to decide what this month's giveaway is. So keep an eye out for that. Um Good evening, Colin. I would not ask for any away spares on online. You might get scammed, in all honesty. So be very wary about asking for spares. This goes for anyone, especially for away games. There is a lot of scams out there for any games, but even more so with away games. Veronica, thank you for the £5 super chat. And with that being said, let's get into this week's games. Now, to be honest, there wasn't really any big fixtures this weekend. The main thing was seeing who was going into international break top of the league. Now it's already the second international break, which I think is a bit ridiculous in all honesty. I think we're beginning of October and we already had 2 weeks off because of international break. That shouldn't be happening. I think September, October, you should not have any international breaks. Don't think it's fair on the players and the teams. Um, with that being said, let's get into them. I'll go through the comments quickly. Um, Jack saying he wishes he could get to away games, used to do loads. Same last year, I got really lucky with Spurs for away games. This season, I have not had any yet. So we'll see how it goes throughout the rest of the season. Doug, hello, Courtney. Can't believe I'm a father of a year old. Not for a year now. Absolutely bonkers how quick it has been. Nathan has had a great first birthday. Made up he has. Bradley agreeing there with hate international breaks. We'll probably get into that a bit more later on this match day Monday. But going on first, let's go to the league leaders right now, and I am happy to say that is us, Liverpool. Went in early kick-off, 12:30 after playing Wednesday night in the Champions League against Bologna, where we had a pretty good game, won it, got the job done. But yeah, going in 12:30 early kick-off, we know how they've treated us in the past, especially last season. We didn't play our best. And we managed to get the win. We got the 1-0 victory against Palace. Diogo Jota, 9 minutes in. I will say, I've got my little notebook here again with little notes on it. Yet again with Liverpool, Palace scored first. We were lucky again. It gets ruled offside. This happened against Bournemouth a few weeks ago. But we're lucky it gets ruled offside, and it's only then where, fair enough, it's quite early in the game, so the game hasn't progressed yet, but we shouldn't be at a point where early in the game teams are scoring against us. But yeah, they score, and then suddenly it ignites Liverpool to get their heads in the game and sort of wake up. So that is one thing I'm noticing quite a lot lately with our team, that beginning of the game, first 10, 15 minutes, it takes a few incidences to happen with the team you're playing against for us to then wake up and go, right, we need to talk to each other. We need to work better defensively. Like, we need them warning signs. And ideally, if we can stop doing that, I think this season could be a really good one. It's still pretty early on to say, but as everyone's saying, slot ball seems to be working and seems to be really good. But yeah, it's one of them things. One thing I will get into is a stat is that this is the first time a manager in the Premier League history has won their first 4 away games, and we've had a pretty tough one there. I know United aren't currently in form at the minute, but we went to Old Trafford and won 3-0. Amazing. Really, really good with Slot and the way he's playing, but it's nice to see these stats that he's breaking, and we all worried when Klopp left and we sort of thought, "What's gonna happen here?" And give Slot his due, he's stepped up to the role. A little bit different football, but it's working. Going into injuries, there's not really much to talk about in that game, and to be honest, there's the injuries and there's the penalty incident, which I'll get into in a bit after that, but Ali looks like he's pulled his hamstring and he is not going to Brazil with the away duties for international, but it doesn't even look like he'll be back in time for our first game back, which I still don't know why. If anyone in the comments could let me know. Kelleher wasn't on the bench. Yaros, who as far as I'm aware, he hasn't played in a cup competition for us either, has he? Because I know it's usually Kelleher that obviously fills up that role, but Yaros comes on, and I remember him in the pre-season friendly at Anfield at the beginning of the season. Thought he was alright, thought he was decent, but with a friendly, you can't really take it too seriously. But I thought he came on and he massively stepped up. He had to prove himself, and he would have known the fans would have been nervous seeing him step on, I feel like, but it didn't phase him. He stepped up. He makes a big save. Not his first save, but I think it's his second save. It's quite a big one, and that must have given him a massive confidence boost. Jack letting me know Kelleher was ill, thank you. He didn't really say when it was on the telly. I remember them going, "Kelleher's not on the bench," and he didn't mention why, and I was sat there and I was thinking, "Why is he not there? Like, let us know." But, yeah, Yaros steps up massively. Hopefully, Kelleher is back for the next game. But it's good to know that we've got Yaros there as well, just in case anything, God forbid, does happen. For the penalty, now, obviously, there wasn't a penalty in the game before anyone comments underneath, but Palace were, like, certain they should have had a penalty. Um, Virgil does grab to the arms of one of their players. Now, if he wasn't holding his arm, do I think the player still would have got the ball? No. Do I think it was a penalty? In all honesty, no. I think if it was given, it's a very, very soft penalty. I think Virgil lets go just at the right time. I think if Virgil continues that hold, and not just the hold, but if he pulls at any sort of way on the player, it's a penalty. But he seems to just hold him. So, in my opinion, it's not a penalty. Let me know in the comments below whether you think it was a penalty or not. And be interested because I know it is mainly Liverpool fans on here, but there is some of us that aren't Liverpool fans. Let me know your thoughts on it. Before we go into the next game, I will go through the comments quickly. Veronica says these international breaks are pointless. Hopefully, our players come back injury free. Definitely. It's not only the fact that playing game time, it's the travel that's involved in it. Jack says a new Palace would be a tricky game. We did well to manage the game though, especially with the Allison injury. Alberto says hello from Brazil. I'm not going to try and pronounce the name of the city because I will get it wrong, but hello in Brazil. Speaking of Alison Becker, the best keeper in the world comes from Brazil. Baba says hello. Doug says I totally agree. Being a bit lucky with the early goals conceded, but then they are offside. Can't keep happening after that. It's total domination, 100%. Um, Daria, I think is how I pronounce your name. Sorry if you don't know. I'm terrible at pronouncing names, places, I really struggle with it, and I'm also wary of insulting anyone if I get it wrong. So sorry if I do ever get a name or place wrong. Says hello, Baba. Says I am your number one fan. Thank you. Jack says Slaughter's done more in 3 months than Ten Hag has done in 3 years. Go Sixers says hello, Courtney. Hello, Go Sixers. Dan the man says late to the party, but aloha from exotic tropical New Jersey. Doug says not bad having the best keeper in the world, second choice keeper in the world, and third choice. And now we are spoiled for choice for great keepers, 100%. Gaye is never getting to that ball, so I understand why it wasn't given. Yes. Lee has said he can't join. Is that about Patreon? If so, message me over on Instagram. I can try and help you out if you're having any issues. Dan the man says grinding out hard fought games like this isn't sexy, but it's what championship runs are made of. 3 points away as always. Brilliant, yeah. For me, I mentioned this to my dad after we played Palace on Saturday, and I said to him, I was like, these games feel well, the Palace one felt very much like the games we won the league with last time, where it was you weren't playing the best football, it wasn't the most exciting to watch. You were having moments where you might have gone down 1-0, but you were coming back and winning, or you were just getting the 3 points of whatever it took. So I think that's a good one. Escal says, "Play the whistle." Here, Courtney, I'll give this to you rather than one of the podcasters. Um, Bradley, love how everyone is writing us off. We always shut them up. You'll never walk alone. Yeah, it was quite funny. I think before the season started, how many people were writing Liverpool off. Look, Gary Neville, the way he predicted. I think it was a top four that he predicted. But we have the same team virtually that we had under Klopp. It's just a different format that we're playing, a different style. So people can't be that surprised that it's actually not that bad of a result that we're getting. Um, with that being said, we'll get into the next game. I was just checking what the other comments were before I got in. So next game is Man City 3, Fulham 2. And yet again, City don't score the first goal. Fulham actually start the game, score a 1-0 up. It then goes 1-1. And to be honest, I don't feel like Fulham played too bad. Um, I think Fulham played really well, especially against City. But to be honest, I feel like Fulham have played pretty good this season, to be honest. Um, Fulham attacking wise, really, really good. Traore, so unlucky. I think he had a hat trick of clear on shot, on goal chances that he didn't score. Um, and I've said this a lot this season. I said it behind closed doors. I've said it maybe once or twice on this channel. But City to me do not look like the same City. They aren't clinical enough. And obviously, I thought this before Rodri got injured, and this is going to something that gets mentioned a lot this season is Rodri being out. But I think before Rodri were out, City did not look the same. Um, I've got on here the possession. City 58%, Fulham 42%. Now, yes, City got the win. They won 3-2. But were they playing it convincingly? No. Which I think must be a little bit of a worry for City fans. I will when I get into the Arsenal game, I have said my notes in the Arsenal game right now. I think obviously we're top of the league currently. I think the biggest threat for us at the minute, looking at it as us being top of the league right now, the biggest threat for us isn't City, it's Arsenal. I don't feel like City are taking their chances when they need to. You look at Newcastle last weekend, they drew 1-1 with Newcastle. In my opinion, Newcastle were the better side in that game. They had the better chances, but City somehow managed to stay 1-1 with them. Any other time, City are going there and they'll grind out a win. But like I said, with their chances, they're not being clinical enough at the minute. Fulham, gave their best and they did do really well, so props there to Fulham for that. Not many teams can go to the Etihad and do that sort of performance, but like I said at the minute, I think we'll see more and more teams getting more confident against them and sort of taking their chances a bit more with the way they've been performing. Yes, they're getting results, but they're not performing the best. And that goes in all competitions. You look at Champions League, they drew the first game. They then come out of that and you think, right, they've got a point to prove. They draw again against Arsenal and then the following weekend draw against Newcastle. It's it's not what we expect from City at the minute. It's going to be interesting to see how they come back from international break because international break help them. We'll have to wait and see. But teams don't usually come back greatly from international break usually, especially when there are teams like City where most of their players will be going away on international duty. They won't have a break. They've got the travel time and the minutes that they'll play. With Ali now being out for Brazil, Ederson's probably going to be playing the games for them. So it's going to be interesting. Next game is going to be a big talking point over the next week with international break. One of the teams could be potentially looking at sacking their manager, if that's a clue. So we've got Villa nil, Man United nil. Now, this for me, I've put down, could this be Ten Hag's last game? And I think it very possibly could be. I believe, obviously, everyone saw a lot of the chairmans now for the club were there at the Villa game, which is unusual with it being an away game for them to all be there. You had, I can't think of the guy that's just bought into the club. You had him there. You had Alex Ferguson. I think you had four other people there as well. But it has also been reported that on Tuesday, so tomorrow, the Glazers are flying into the UK for a meeting about Manchester United. And I think with the way current results have gone for United, you had obviously this nil-nil. Champions League midweek was they were 2-0 up. The team they were playing against comes back for 3-2, and somehow Harry Maguire last minute scores a goal, draws it for them, and I think with the fact it's being 2 draws, it could potentially keep him in it. Also, the fact there's very little managers available right now for you to go out, like decent managers for you to go out and try to bring into the club. I think that could keep Ten Hag in there. But I think the worrying thing is there's already a meeting that's taking place tomorrow and the people who were there watching the game on Sunday. So it's gonna be interesting. I will say though, in that game, I think most of us, we would have expected Villa to win that. We were expecting Villa to come out. They've been playing really good football this season. Midweek, they play in the Champions League for the first time at home in ages, and they come up against Bayern Munich. Now, in all due respect, Bayern Munich aren't the team they used to be, personally, I feel like. But Villa win it 1-0, which is a massive achievement for them. Like, I think if you asked any Villa fans, like, they would have been nervous about that game, but obviously it was at home, that helped. I will say though, I think it's come to their detriment. I think that midweek game, because of the atmosphere, you would have been, as a player, putting your all into it even more than you usually do. If you were feeling tired, you would have just powered through it instead of being cautious, thinking about the weekend's game ahead. And I think that's shown with Villa. A lot of their players look tired a little bit. Players who've been in brilliant form lately were hitting shots that weren't even on target a lot of the time. And it brought me back to, if anyone remembers, when Newcastle made it back into the Champions League, not was it last season or the season before? But it affected them massively. I think it's sort of I've got family who are Newcastle fans, and at the time I said to them, I think this has come at the wrong time for you. I think you need another season or two before you go up there, just to get used to the amount of games. And I do think that was shown Sunday night with Villa in that game. It was Tillemans, for example. Tillemans has been brilliant for them. There was a few shots he had where usually he's hitting them on target. Keeper might get a save to it, but he's hitting them on target, and he wasn't doing that. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. Whether what happened to Newcastle a few seasons ago with them having the extra games in the Champions League happens to Villa. Um, it's all about man management at the minute, and has Villa got the squad depth for that? I don't think so. So it'd be interesting to see how that goes. I'm gonna quickly go through the chat. I'm just gonna go up on my phone because it is easier to read it than trying to scroll on my laptop for some reason. Um, Lee says, "Big up Courtney in chat. Big up you, Lee." Jack saying Villa Courtney, and also saying Fulham looked so dangerous in that game from what I've seen. They did look pretty good. I was actually at the cinema watching the Joker when it was happening. So I came out and I found the highlights and watched pretty decent chunk of the game. Um, Skal has said, "Oops, Arne Slot has impacted the EPL massively already. Since game one versus Ipswich, Slot took ones off duels. Duels is now being introduced in stats in every match report. That's pretty cool." Doug saying if Traore could finish that game, that finished 4-3 at Fulham, definitely. Doug as well saying City don't look defensively as sound this season. I agree, but I also think chances wise, they aren't taking them as good as they usually do. Um, some chances they had against Newcastle, they should have scored really, but they didn't. Um, as soon as City come up against someone who can finish, they will have issues, definitely. John John Travel Experiences say, "Hope you're feeling better, Courtney. Good to get the win on Saturday. Not the greatest of performances, but a win is a win and 3 points, definitely. And thank you for the hope you're feeling better." I was feeling better, and then my cough has come back full force, which is obviously why I've got a massive glass of water here just to help with my voice while we do this. Um, Jack also said United's worst start to a season ever, which, yeah, I think we look at it. Do they try and give Ten Hag a bit more time? But I do think the writing's on the wall with Ten Hag. I think as soon as they can line someone up to replace him, he is gone. Villa didn't even play great, and United were never going to win that game. Yes. Yeah, champions. They're not in the Champions League. They're in Europa. Sorry, I made that slip up. I made Europa, meant Europa with United. ISO Gaming says hi. Hi. Doug says a lot of hype around this game. My goodness me, what an awful game. United have zero threat forward line. Starting Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire in 2024 has thrown Dele and Martinez under the bus. Sideline Football Show saying big up Courtney in the chat. Big up you. Um, Doug said they also had £346 million worth of players he bought on the bench as well, Ten Hag. Um, Hassan has said we're winning the league this season. I think it's too early to say that, but I've just realised something. Um, was it that? So the year I last went to a Boxing Day game with my brother was 2018. We played Newcastle. We ended up going on to win the Champions League that season. I this Boxing Day we play Leicester. Me, my little brother, my mum, and my stepdad were all going to Anfield together to watch the game, which I'm really excited for. Keep getting really emotional over it, so I'll try and hold it in on here. But you'll obviously see that vlog when Boxing Day comes around. But yeah, so I have a weird superstition because of that, that we either win the Champions League or the Premier League. That season we went really close to winning the Premier League as well. Or was it the year we won? I don't know if it was the year we won the Champions League or was it the year, yeah, it was the year we won the Champions League actually. But like for that reason I've got it in my head, either Champions League or Premier League we win, or we at least go the long distance in them. Um like for me, a big massive success this season is if Liverpool go the distance. And either go the distance in Champions League and we get to say the semi-final, quarter-final, final, like we're somewhere there. I think that's a big success. Like I said, season of change. We're taking it really well at the minute. Just need to hope that momentum continues. But I think talking about winning the league, we have to see where we are at Christmas. Don't know what injuries could happen. We don't know how long Alisson's out. God forbid anyone else gets injured. This international breaks keep happening, and yeah. Um. So, bum, bum, bum. Daniel says Bigelow from Norwich Green in Liverpool. Hello from Anfield in Liverpool. Jack saying Villa could finish outside the top four just because of their European games. Definitely, and this was a point I made back when Newcastle made it into the Champions League. I think I'm made up when teams like that haven't been in the Champions League for ages, or whether it's the first time, made up to see that happen for teams. But it's all about whether that team's ready for it and whether it could affect their other competitions like Premier League, where they might make a bit more money in the Premier League if they finish higher up and stuff like that. So we'll see. Escal saying big up Courtney for some comments. Thank you. Lee also has put a little stat out there saying last time we played Leicester on Boxing Day, we won the league. Yes. And that game I did also watch with my family, but obviously we were watching it on TV because it was away, I believe. Jack saying Jota loves a goal against Leicester. Um, Anthony saying you'll never walk alone. Hello. Daniel saying Gravenberch is a much improved player this season. 100%. It's really good to see. I think I was worried that the players like Gravenberch and that were who had been brought in under Klopp when we weren't expecting Klopp to go. I thought they might have been a bit not left behind with Slot, but not struggled either. I don't know what, but I am made up that Gravenberch is in the form he is. He's this season probably is one of the best midfielders at the minute. I think that's just unarguable at the minute. Everyone is praising them, like all the commentators, all the pundits seem to have nothing but good things to say about Gravenberch as well as us, the fans. So, next game is Arsenal 3, Southampton 1. Now, again, Southampton score first, and it was like, I think, a little bit of a wake up call for Arsenal, similar to the way it has been for us. So, that's also something that I think is quite interesting is I'm not writing City off in any way when I'm saying what I'm saying about City, but I do think Arsenal is the team we have to worry about if we are staying top of the league, which fingers crossed it happens. I just don't want to be one of them people that like, we're gonna win the league, blah blah blah. But in all seriousness, we are in good form. If that continues, we are likely to be up there come the back end of the season. Um Arsenal though, like I said, more of a threat for the league title than City at the minute. We all know how quick form can change. Our form can change. City's form can change, and City could go on a run after international break. They could come back and go on a run and not lose a game for the rest of the season, sort of thing. Arsenal could do the same. We could also do the same. You never know, but I do think at the minute it is Arsenal that are the big competition. I will say in that game now, I did think it was a decent performance. Sorry, my voice keeps cutting off. I do think it was a decent performance by Southampton. Southampton, a team who only just come up this season again, arguably could be looking at themselves being in a relegation battle at the back end of the season, but they went to Arsenal and they actually played pretty decent football. So I think that's a bonus for Southampton. I think the only thing is for Southampton, this, like I say, international break is coming at the wrong time for them. I think if there's a game next weekend that they're playing, they take their energy and positivity about the way they've performed against Arsenal into that game, and it could massively change them. Um, After that, I have then got Brentford 5, Wolves 3. And I will say, last match day Monday, I got a lot of stick for saying I don't think Wolves will go down, and the reason I said that was because I looked and I saw obviously they've got big teams to play against coming up, but this Brentford game, I was like, I think that might be their, like, comeback game. Thought they'd get at least a point from it, maybe a win, um, but no, they really even their manager said it was the worst performance that he's seen from them. Um, I think in games before that, yes, they weren't winning games, they weren't getting many points, but it wasn't like the performances weren't utterly terrible. Against us the other weekend, yes, we won, yes, we dominated the game, but I wouldn't say it looked like we were playing against a team that is in a relegation battle. Um, I will say though, it is not looking good for them at the minute, especially result 5-3. It was though, first half, it was one of them games where it's like 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 2-2, and it's one of them games where you go, "Is this gonna be a game where Brentford score, but then Wolves come back, Brentford score, Wolves come back?" And it was that game in the first half. Second half, they kept come out and Wolves just can't do anything, and they end up getting beat 5-3. Um, I just think Brentford at the minute are a good side. I don't think Brentford have got anything to worry about this season. It is a fun stat though that the last few games they've scored are in the first minute, if everyone can remember that. However, it took them quite a bit longer. 2 minutes it took them to score this time, which I think there's definitely someone needs to go back and look at how Brentford are starting games because there's something definitely within their training, within their game plan that is like go and get that early goal, go and get that first goal within the first 5 minutes. Um, so I think that's something teams are gonna be wary of now, but it's whether teams can get away with, like, figuring out how to do it. Um, the Wolves keeper, that's one of my notes here. The Wolves keeper, I do think he made a lot of decent saves. For me, that keeper isn't a blame for the mistakes. I don't think you could blame him for any of the goals. But I think defensively, take the keeper out of it because whenever you talk about defence, I don't feel like you really talk about the keepers much, other than if it's like Ali like making a bad pass to someone. Like that's when we sort of talk about it. But if you look at the keeper, he pulled off some really good saves. Arguably, because they were drawing, you could say he kept them in a few times with them saves, so they were able to score and then draw. Um, for me, Wolves defensively just looks so poor. And I think that's as a whole team. I don't think it's just the defensive line. I think the whole team just giving away the ball silly, um, just losing the ball silly a lot of the time. What else have I got? Oh yeah, the attacking from Brentford is really good. I think that is a key point when you look at Brentford, like I was saying about the early goals. And one attacker for them who came on, who is Liverpool's ex-player Carvalho, who I still think we should have never got rid of. He had a brilliant pre-season for us this season as well, and I thought, this is it, he's gonna make it into the squad a bit more. But obviously he ends up taking a move to Brentford, comes on and scores his first Premier League goal for Brentford, made up for him. Um, so yeah, not much else to say in that game other than the second goal for Brentford is a penalty. There's arms around the player, which you just can't get away with in this game anymore unless you're Mo Salah. Do it on Mo Salah, you'll get away with it. I'll catch up on the comments quickly. S. Carl says, I think Arno will be making a few signings slash sales in his first transfer window. I hope we get Ahmed from Dortmund. He's phenomenal. Phenomenal. I can't say that word right now with me cold. Um, John says Gravenberch is even player under slot. Daniel, I do find it hard to watch Liverpool this season as it just doesn't feel the same about Klopp. I get that. I will say like, going into the beginning of the season, it wasn't that I couldn't watch us, like, I'll always watch Liverpool, the manager for me and the way we play just doesn't matter, but I was a bit more wary, a bit more I wouldn't say unexcited, like, I was, like, still excited to watch us, but that fear of not the fear, but the feeling of unknown, like, not knowing how we were gonna play, what our new style was gonna be. But I am really enjoying it now, to be honest. I think slot ball is phenomenal. I've just had to try and say that again. I cannot say it with a cold. Um, Baba, do you know Chloe Bloxham? Yes, I do. There's actually, if you go on Redman's channel from when they used to do the fan reactions outside the stadium, there's ones of me and Chloe talking together. Jack, may be controversial, but I am not sure if Arsenal are quite as solid this season so far. Lewis Potter was keen to ensure that Brentford got the win. And Baba also says, "What do you think of Darwin?" I love Darwin. I do feel for him because I do think fan reaction to him really affects him. I have been told stuff in the past about him, how he's quite a nervous player, quite shy. And I think you can see that in some of the videos, to be honest, that the club put out where they're going around the accent, and he does come across slightly shy. He is funny and he has a laugh, but I think you can sort of get that feel about him. I will say though, I think he needs game time and to get a goal, but like to help build his confidence. And when he does do that, he's like a phenomenal player. The only thing is, we've got such a battle going on at the minute for the free attackers that he is struggling to get in. So I am hoping that maybe when we go to Brighton in the Carabao Cup, we might see Darwin for a bit longer than we used to. And he gets a goal, puts in a good performance, boosts his confidence a bit, or any other games we can sort of fit him in cup wise, I think would be nice. Um, Going into the next game, it's West Ham 4, Ipswich 1, and in the game before, I mentioned how Brentford are a thing for scoring early. West Ham in this goal, their first goal comes in 40 seconds of the whistle being blown, and it was also Antonio's first touch on the ball. He hits it and he scores with it. I think that is like, any striker, attacker would love that, like, your first touch on the ball is a goal. So, that is pretty cool. It's also the first home win for West Ham this season, which obviously in a new manager, it's a testing time for that manager at the minute. He's finally got his first home win. Do we now see West Ham pick up a bit of good form? Like we were saying earlier, again, international break coming up, could that also, like, make this win less impactful for them form-wise and confidence-wise? Um, yeah, I've got as well, West Ham did deserve that win completely. Ipswich were looking a bit lacklustre. I think West Ham looked like they wanted the win more, they were battling it out a bit more, obviously, and it pays off. They get 4 goals to Ipswich's 1. But yeah, there wasn't these games I can go through quite quickly because there wasn't any exciting games this weekend, I feel like. Apart from maybe if you look at the Brentford Wolves one with the amount of goals that were scored in it. But it's it was a calm weekend of football. Compared to when I last done Matchday Monday and we had the Arsenal City game, which was quite a big chunk of it. Then I've got here Leicester 1, Bournemouth 0. I would say for me, I felt like I know Bournemouth got goals ruled offside and that. Um, for me though, I do think the fairer result would have been a draw. I think both teams put in 50-50. It wasn't a game that I watched and I saw any team stand out massively. I do think though Leicester, we spoke about it other times. Leicester are going to be in a relegation battle by the looks of it. It's still early on to say that, but there's a lot of big games for them still to come up, and I do think that 3 points for Leicester is massive. It is. I said about it the other, not last week, the week before when they played Everton, and it was the draw, and I said that's like this could be something we look at when it comes to the relegation point of the season, this might be it. If Leicester stay up, we look at this Bournemouth game of them getting the 1-0 win early on. I think Bournemouth were by far in the second half, the better team. I think, like I said, fair result would have been the draw, and it is the first win of the season for Leicester, which is massive for them, like I've said. Going on now and I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant about something that happened after the game, but we have Everton nil, Newcastle nil. Now, for me, this was a massive shock, not just based off it was Everton and Everton's form this season has not been great. I think any Everton fan could tell you that, like, they'll be honest about it. They're not happy with the results, they're not happy with the performances. Everton somehow do put out quite a decent performance. I will say though, with Newcastle, last weekend they played Man City. I watched that game and I came out thinking, "Do you know what? Newcastle, like, should have won that game," I felt like. Felt like they had the better chances. I felt like they played probably the better football in my opinion. There will be people that will comment on this now going, "No, Man City were better, blah, blah, blah." But in my opinion, I felt like Newcastle probably is to save that win against City last weekend. I don't understand though how they can put in that sort of performance against City like they did, and then they go Goodison and play Everton, and it is just not anywhere near good enough a performance for Newcastle. I felt like Everton did step up a gear a little bit, but still, I feel like Newcastle putting in that performance last week really should have gone to Goodison and maybe at least scored. I think if they'd scored and drawn, you would have been like, okay, fair enough. Something's like just being one mistake, but the fact it was a nil-nil draw is a bit like I just don't think it was good enough. Again, I've wrote on here they were awful in the final third, which again, saying about them shaking chances, they just couldn't take any. Um, the penalty, which is going to lead up into my little rant. Tarkowski with a stupid penalty. He complete Tonali completely grabs his collar with his arm like over. Tarkowski's got his arm over Tonali's shoulder, holds onto his shirt, and completely drags him to the ground. In what if it was a fight or a wrestling move, like, spot on if that's what you're trying to do, like, brilliant, 5 stars, but as defense in the box, that is the most stupid thing you can do. And then obviously Anthony Gordon steps up. Also with that Tarkowski one, I don't know how he wasn't booked. I know it went to VAR and that, but I don't know how the ref didn't see it, how he wasn't booked for it because it was so ridiculous. I think he was lucky to not get anything for that because I think we've seen it before where it was so blatant and he knew what he was doing and he could have on a different day possibly have got a red for it, but he was lucky to not get a yellow for it, for the ref not seeing it. Um, Times like that, it is good that VAR is there because the ref didn't see it, so obviously VAR steps in, tells him to go and look at the monitor, he sees it, changes it. Gordon then steps up and he misses the penalty. Well, I say misses, Pickford saves it. And I'll get into why this infuriates me in a minute. I'm just gonna take a drink. Ah, so um, following that Pickford save and Gordon's um penalty, I'll get up and read the tweet out to you, or sort of give you the gist of the tweet. I can't show it because it's Premier League footage. Everton have got the right to show it, but I haven't. Um, so let's find it. I wonder if they've took it down actually. Um, they might have took it down unless. Let me have a look. Gordon. I can't find it right now. I did have it saved, but um. So yeah, Everton. Then someone tweets who supports Everton saying, "Wish they had played the buzzer from half time when the penalty was saved," as a bit like of a like dig at Anthony Gordon, and they I'll just show you quickly shared the penalty with that tweet and edited it. edited it so when he saved it, the buzzer goes off, which I think is very disrespectful to a player who it wasn't his boyhood club. We all know his boyhood club was Liverpool's pictures of him at cup finals for Liverpool with a Liverpool scarf on. Won't get into that now. But he's come through your academy. He's saved you from relegation multiple times. He then ends up coming out from a game at Goodison one time, and your fans had barricaded the street, so the players were basically stuck in their cars getting abuse from the fans, which is wrong anyway. But then for the club itself, so when he comes back with the team he's moved to, who are way better than Everton, they've got more chances of winning a trophy than Everton right now. They've got more chances of staying in the Premier League than Everton right now. I think anyone can understand if it was Liverpool in that situation and someone left us to go and join a club that was in the top half of the league and was able to play a bit more competitive football, maybe get a chance in Europe, maybe get a chance of going to Wembley for a cup final. Like, you completely get why Anthony Gordon made that move from Goodison to St James's Park. We get it. For his club that he used to play for to then take the mick out of him, to put it politely without swearing, when they call themselves the People's Club is so disrespectful and so disgusting that how that tweet is still up on their Twitter, I don't know. Because anyone knows a player after a game like that, any player missing a penalty, if their team doesn't then go on to win the game, is gonna feel like it's their fault. They're gonna get hate maybe from some of their own fans at their current club, but they're also gonna get, like, not abuse, but stick off players at, like, other clubs. To then encourage it even more by posting that, I think is disgusting from a Premier League football club. Like I said, they call themselves the people's clubs. Hold yourself up to a higher standard then. You shouldn't be doing it. Like, come on, behave, like, sort yourselves out. Anyway, that's my own little rant. I think actually adding to that, they complain or they done a whole thing about Dele Alli and his mental health. So they know what footballers go through. They know their own have gone through it just because of their performances. Think about other players. Think about Anthony Gordon in that situation. It's not much to ask about. Um, yeah. So I am gonna go after that little rant. I'll go through the comments dead quickly, and then we'll go on to the last two games. Um, I feel like if people start clipping that little rant up, I'm gonna get stick off my cousins for it if they see it. But I think they'll also agree with it. Jack says Ipswich look decent in their game to a point. West Ham too much for them now. Dan the man says, Courtney, have you been pleased with Simicus's involvement and contribution so far this year? Yes. And before someone goes, but what about the Forest game when he came on? I will say one thing, love and slot. That Forest was it the Forest game? Pretty sure it was the Forest game, but when he brought Robbo off and he brought Simicus on, for me, if you want a more solid defence, Robbo's there. If you want a better attack, you put Simicus in. Now, in that game, he took Robbo off, put Simicus on, fine. But then I don't understand why you go to a back three and keep Simicus in. I think that's the only performance where it's probably not being the best, but I don't think that's down to Simicus. I think that was down to Slot's formation tactics at that point in the game. Um, Other than that, I do think he's being pretty decent. Dan the man says, to be honest, I'd love seeing an Everton Man United relegation battle. That would be quite funny. Whether I do think Everton will be in a relegation battle this season. I don't think United will be. Um, I do think United would end up in the bottom half of the table this season. Um, Jack says Everton, United, City going down. Anyone could be interesting. We'll have to see how it goes. It's a It's gonna be an interesting season, this one, no matter what happens. Baba says, "Do you have autographed T-shirts?" I'm guessing you mean, do you have any signed player shirts? So I do. I have Virgil here. Then on this wall we have Steven Gerrard, and it's actually to me for my 21st birthday, which is quite cool. In my wardrobe, I have Simicrus signed one to me. It's got my name on it. Um, a Alison Becker signed shirt, Bobby Firmino signed shirt, and a shirt signed by all of Klopp's backroom staff, which is pretty cool. That was Hotel Anfield's an amazing event at the end of last season, so that's where that one is from. Um, Hi Mark. John says, do you think these international breaks stop the momentum as had to already in the season? Definitely do. I think I spoke about it earlier on in the show, and I think it needs to get looked at. I think it brings players back absolutely knackered a lot of the time. Obviously, if they're playing games, but then you also have to factor in the travel time. Like if someone's going to South America for their internationals, like that is a good 12-hour flight, maybe. It's not a smart move from the I don't know who decides it, FA, Premier League, whatever, it's not a smart decision. Um, I hope I'm wrong, but Darwin in his 3rd season with us now. Maybe it's the new system, but it doesn't seem to be connecting with our place, sending him prayers. Jack says the pen by Gordon was awful. Um, Dan the man, that's the biggest glass of gin I think I've ever seen. I don't drink gin, so I was gonna say I wish, but I don't drink gin. But yeah, water to help with my cough at the minute. Escal saying Sterling done it to us. I disagree with that because when Sterling left us, we'd just gone for the Premier League title. We were playing good football. We had Suarez. It wasn't we win. We were going to cup finals. We were going to like foreign cup competitions. Um, I think it was more the way Sterling done it as well. Whereas Gordon, I think, was pretty open from day one that like he probably was gonna leave Everton with the he was too good of a player for them, if Everton's honest. Leigh Johnson says, "Our club, Ian Rush knew how to score." Jack says, "Courtney giving Everton a TED talk is great content for a Monday night, thanks." Baba saying, "What do you think about Chiesa?" I don't think we've seen enough of him at the minute. He looks really promising, but like I said, haven't seen much about him at the minute. Um, Chris asking about Wolves. I did go over the Wolves situation earlier on and explain why I said what I said the other week, and did say that it was down to the fact I thought they would get a good result at Brentford and it put them on a bit of a boost. Obviously, that didn't happen, so I've spoke more about it at that point. But yeah, the last 2 games now. Um, if you're still in here, there's 19 people. Go and give it a like if you haven't liked already. If you're not subscribed, subscribed. Send me a comment so I know you're watching. And if you can, join the Patreon. This is where this will be moving over to in 2 weeks' time. And you will also get a chance to win a prize every single month. It's usually a signed item or something that is really limited edition to the club. So go and check that out. Um, so yeah, next one is Chelsea one, Forest one. And after Chelsea's performance against Brighton last weekend, this one shocked me massively. I had Chelsea to win. I will say though, Forest, I feel like have had a little bit of a boost lately with their performances. They might have not necessarily got the results, but I do think since they got that victory over us, their performance has massively improved. Forest did do well though. They actually went down to 10 men for the last 25 minutes, and they did play really well, especially to keep that 1-1 lead, 1-1 lead, 1-1 draw. Obviously, they are at Stamford Bridge playing Chelsea. Chelsea have got the home support there, and the fact they could go down to 10 men, and usually if our team goes down to 10 men, the home fans get riled up if it's the away team. And it really impressed me the way Forest held on to that draw. I will say though, their goalkeeper Sells, brilliant, brilliant game for him. I feel like I said it last time as well on Matchday Monday, how good of a keeper he was. He could be one to watch this season keeper wise. Obviously, I don't think he's gonna win like Golden Glove or anything like that, but I do think he is one to watch on whether there could be any other clubs, whether that's a club in Europe or that, come in and look at him, because I do think he has been quite impressive so far this season. Then the last game, Brighton 3, Spurs 2. Sorry, I could hear the dog crying then I just wanted to see what she was after. Oh, she's fine. So yeah, Brighton 3, Spurs 2. Um, First goal for Spurs, which is the first goal of the game, is scored by Brennan Johnson, who has now scored in the past 6 games. He's got a goal in each game. So that is quite impressive for them, especially after losing Harry Kane. I think last season people were a bit worried if you were a Spurs fan. I think Johnson and Solanke have proved themselves to be pretty good so far. Um, but yeah, like I said, Spurs score the first goal and then Spurs score the second goal, so they did have a 2-0 lead. They that somehow then completely throw it away and give Brighton the job. Brighton did play pretty decent, I felt like, in that second half, and they come into it and they win the game 3-2. Really good performance in the second half by Brighton. Feel like Brighton didn't play too bad throughout the whole game, but that second half was really good. I will say those Spurs did play a lot worse in the second half compared to how they did in the first half, especially when you think all they had to do was go a bit more defensive, and they probably would have won the game. So that is all of this weekend's Premier League games. Um, like I said, I had my little rant about Everton, and more importantly, Liverpool going at the second international break, top of the league, which we're playing pretty convincing football, um, quite dominant possession wise. So it's going to be interesting. I'll go through the last few little comments. Baba says, "Do you like Funkos?" Yes, Funko Pops. I have. There they are. You can see the little bit through the gap there. Got some Funko Pops there, and then I've got my Disney ones here. So these are my Disney ones. They're my Liverpool ones. I will say, if you do like Disney or Florida, keep an eye out on my channel and on my social medias. There may be some videos coming shortly about Florida. Won't be going anytime soon, but put this way, this time next year, I would have been to Florida by now, hopefully. Everything goes to plan. So keep an eye out for them. I am looking forward to starting these videos as well. And there is a lot of people out there who enjoy the football, enjoy Liverpool, and also enjoy Florida and Disney. So it's stuff I love. I know other people love it, so I want to bring them together. When I do go to Florida, I will be going to the Orlando Supporters Club if we have a game while I'm over there, which we probably will have one. So yeah, let me know anything you want to say about Florida, about booking for Florida, anything to do with Disney. I collect Disney pins up there, so if you want to see them, let me know. Um, but yeah, Jack also said, "Can we get 20 likes for Courtney?" We've hit it, Jack. We've done it. Jack also says the end of Chiesa's game was mental. The end of this. Sorry, I'm like misreading it. The end of this Chelsea game was mental. Either team could have won. Forest playing so well at the moment, though. 100%. Escal said, "Courtney, if and a big if Man City get a guilty on these charges, believe all their titles, etc., should be voided. What's your opinion? If they are found guilty, that will 100% happen. I also think it will get passed on to who would have been in second place So there'll be a few titles for a few different teams, including ourselves there. Um, and potentially points deduction this season. We'll have to wait and see. I It's whether they get found guilty. I know there's been I haven't been able to look into it properly, but I know there's been stuff today saying they've had a bit of a legal win and this, that, and the other. And I'm trying to not listen to it until we get the end result and we find out what was said a bit more better from the court, because obviously not much of it is reported on at the minute. Jack says the Brighton game went exactly as expected. Spurs were so poor second half though. Jack also says great stream again, Courtney. Hope you enjoy the international break. Hope you enjoy it too, Jack. I am watching the dog this week, so I've got a week off work watching the dog, which is quite nice. Um, and then next week, well, the weekend coming up, I have got my family down from Durham, so I'm going to spend some time with them about the football, which is not only that, which is not doesn't happen often, is what I'm trying to say. Dan the man says my only Disney memorabilia is a 6-inch tall ceramic dock figurine that my dad got back in the 1940s. Wow, if you get the chance, look that up because that could be something really rare. Like, I have some pins over here, that are super rare, and they my pride and joy. Um, I I I've got, like, I am selling some of my collections that aren't rare at the minute, so, like, that's a country beer jamboree. I've got some pins flying about at the minute just to try and go towards my Disney fund, which you'll hear more about in the coming months, hopefully. Um Martin says, "This is cool, Courtney. Good to see you doing this up the mountain Reds." Thank you, Martin. Like I said, this will become a Patreon exclusive in 2 weeks' time now. So if you want to see this and you want to be involved in the live chat, you want a one day come on video live or call in if you're more comfortable with that, that'll be happening. So keep an eye out for that. Um, John says he's at Anfield on Sunday watching the women's game. Enjoy. S. Carl says you're the only podcaster that reads comments. Kudos to you. You'll never walk alone. Thank you. I do know though, if any of you on here watch Talk and Cop, there used to be LFC day trippers. They read their comments all the time and they will highlight ones to talk about. They do. People tend to just chat within themselves on their shows, which is quite cool. But they do also bring up people's points about either Liverpool stuff, other stuff going on within football, so go and check them out as well. I've been on their show a few times, and I know the lads really well. Always see Gav whenever he's in Liverpool, and then at the end of the season, everyone's over. There's like Gav, Keith, Emma, everyone. We have a good time in Liverpool. But yeah, with that being said, I will see us all. It'll be the Chelsea game now, won't it? See us all at the Chelsea game, and hopefully it's a really good one. Fingers crossed we come back from international break well and we have no injuries. Like I said, I hope everyone enjoys international break and go and check out Patreon if you want to see more of this show and interact more if you're not already. Any issues trying to join Patreon, please pop me a message over on Instagram or um, tweet me over on X/Twitter. Depends on what you still call it. But yeah, that being said, I will see you all for the Chelsea game next. That being said, bye.